I will teach you why sky looks blue. So I am going to give you very good reasons, suitable reason behind this. When the sunlight comes from the sun to the earth, and when it faces the atmospheric particles, there are two cases are possible. The size of the particle is greater than the wavelength of light, or size of the particle is lesser than the wavelength of light. So there are such wavelength. There are 7 colors in the sunlight. Sunlight is a white light. It is a mixture of 7 color: VIBGYOR, violet, indigo, blue, yellow, orange and red. Middle is green. VIBGYOR, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red, in which the all colors have different wavelength. All colors have different wavelength. Some color, just like violet, indigo and blue, they are very low wavelength. It has a very low wavelength. And yellow, orange and red, it has a very high wavelength. So what is happening when the atmospheric particle faces very smallest wavelength, when the atmospheric particle faces very smallest wavelength of light, for example violet, indigo and blue, they scatter them because its wavelength is so much small that even the particle become greater than the wavelength of the light. Then in this case it scatter the light. So it will scatter the which light? Atmospheric particle will scatter which light? Which wavelength is very small? Which wavelength is very small? Violet, indigo and blue. You know, in the sunlight, violet, indigo, blue, green, white, yellow, orange and red. So it is a mixture of 7 colors. So violet, indigo, blue has very low wavelength. Yellow, orange and red is high wavelength. Since very low wavelength, these particles are scattered by the atmospheric particles. And since yellow, orange and red at high wavelength, so atmospheric particle cannot scatter then. The atmospheric particle cannot scatter that violet, orange and yellow, orange, red, because they have a high wavelength. They are powerful to them. So they cannot scatter. So atmospheric particle will scatter which wavelength? Which color? Atmospheric particle will scatter which color? Which has a low wavelength, which has a weak wavelength. So when the sunlight will falls on when the violet rays will falls on the particle, the violet will be scattered, indigo will be scattered, blue will be scattered, because these colors have very small wavelength. But when the yellow, orange and red will falls on any particle, since they have a very high wavelength, they cannot be scattered by the atmospheric particle. It will directly reach on the earth. So when we are watching the sky, since this violet, indigo and blue has been scattered, it is dispersed on the atmosphere. So when we will see from the earth, we will see it is a mixture of violet, indigo and blue. Blue is a dark. So after mixing, it will become bluish. So this is the reason that our sky looks bluish color. Why our sky look bluish colors? Because when the sunlight passes through our atmosphere, so those light which has a very small wavelength, they are scattered by the atmospheric particle. And don't reach on the earth. So when we see our sky, then we see the scattered wavelength of light, So what light has scattered? Violet, indigo and blue. That is called bluish. This is the reason our sky looks bluish. Stop.